What is a piece of advice for new moms that you would share that you wish you would have known or would have thought of when your kids were a little smaller?
Just slow down and enjoy it. I remember when we had newborns, being shared with like the days are long, but the years are short. And I remember thinking like, quit saying that, right? Because when they're little or newborns, the days can be really long. And but it's just so true. If you can just slow down, even when it's hard, and even when there's not a lot of sleep and there's a lot of hours in the day, it's just such a precious, precious time. And to be able to feel a way around that.
Were you coaching when you had little kids or when they were newborns?
Yeah, so I was an assistant coach when Will was born. So we actually um I can't remember. I was like 7 months pregnant when we won I was an assistant coach at Ashland University. We won the national championship. So we were down in San Antonio, Texas. So it was like right at probably one of the last times I could fly. So I was very pregnant and that was fun. And then he was born in the summer, June 19th. And then Clara was born September 21st. So I was a head coach then at Ashland. And so she was born like right in preseason. So and then that season we won the national championship too. And I came back for practices mid-October. But she was born even kind of more right into the season.
So the
So
gym
I
is
used
just
to
all
bring her. I used to bring her. She was just a little baby. I'd have her on my carry case. So I just bring her to practice and she'd just sleep right on my chest. And,
I was going to ask if you had her in tow like that because that was always easy when they were right there. And
yeah, right there, hang out with you. So I just brought her along. And I did Will too a lot.
So your kids were just always have been in the gym
They have been.
and they love it.
They do. I always say my favorite part about being in a gym is that with how much everything else in society is changing with technology and distractions and all this, nothing's changed about being in a gym like that, right? Nothing's changed about
Right.
running around and just being part of something. So that's been fun. When Clara was a newborn, so that season she was born, Will was 3.5. So he was at the local preschool. So we would practice around 4. So actually my husband would bring him to practice and he would keep our scoreboard.
Oh,
So, because it was after
awesome.
school. So we'd bring him over after school and then he would keep the scoreboard and kind of run around the gym. So we just made it work. I always say we just didn't ask for permission, or we just kind of did it our way and brought him along.
That's awesome. That's a talent too later in life to be able to do that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he's a good scorekeeper.
that's awesome. Very cool. I don't like that job, but so, like anyways, so how do you balance it all? Or I read something where you used the word integrate. So
Yeah.
how do you balance being a mom and the Michigan State women's basketball coach?
Yeah, I think of it as integration. I think it's hard to think of it as balance because to me they're not separate. Like it's not like, oh, I'm a coach here and then I'm a mom when I get home. I think I'm right. There's always sort of both going on at the same time. And I think you can hold the duality of both, but my husband's amazing. He's really supportive. He was also a coach in he played college basketball. So I mean, I think he just has a real understanding of what it takes, and he brings the kids a lot to the gym to practice. They travel a lot. We travel together a lot on road trips to tournaments. So there's a lot of perks too. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, like we get a lot of time together in the gym. As I said, I don't think of them as separate. I just try to find ways. We have the team over a lot. We have recruits over a lot. So the same idea. It's like we're all doing life together.
Well, that's fun. Imagine the stories they'll have years from now when they're like, hey, look, guess what my childhood entailed, or
Uh-huh.
I knew her when, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? I'm going to use this personally. What do you think makes a good teammate or
Uh,
team member, both on and or off the court?
well, we talk a lot in our program about great teams have great teammates. And then it's like, okay, well, what is a great teammate? And ultimately, I think a great teammate is operating out of the framework of doing what's best for the team, right? And often what's best for the team isn't what's best for you. but it's what makes being on a team so great. It's like being part of a family, right? We're always all making sacrifices for what's best for the group. So that's the framework. I don't think that's easy. I always say simple concept, not easy to do, not easy to make those choices every day. But when you can really become fully immersed in the team and care at a high level about the team, your whole experience changes for the better, right? When you no longer feel like you're the center of every decision, when you can really just step back and say, hey, I want to be part of this. Really good things happen for the team, and individually it's a better experience.
That's an incredible response. And that's also laying the groundwork for success the rest of their lives. I mean,
Yes,
you know, it's like the greatest good for the greatest number.
I
So
love
it's, you know,
yeah.
it's, I had an HR director once when I was very young. I had a complaint about something, and it was a very small business I worked for, but it was big enough to have HR. And she always used to say greatest good for the greatest number. And it didn't make any sense to me. But then you're like, all of a sudden now, if I tell my kids, if you can make decisions based on what's the greatest good for the greatest number, then at the time you made the correct decision, you know,
I love that. Yeah.
so anyways, this is not about me. So sorry.
I love that. I love that. That's a great way to, that's like a concise way to put it.
Um, I guess this would go into the next question. What are some non-basketball examples of team building?
Non-basketball examples of team building. Well, we huddle every day at practice. So every day after our warm up, we huddle and talk about one of our core values. So we're kind of always connecting on those. We do a lot of things in the community as well. Last summer, there were some real cool opportunities at the public library. Our student athletes have been in the schools to do reading. We have, our basketball camp. We actually try to do a lot of things with our team, with the community, because one of our favorite things about East Lansing is like Michigan State and the university are so intertwined. It's not this big city where there's this pro team and all of these distractions, and we have great community support. So we always feel like it's our obligation and responsibility to make sure we're giving back, because we receive a lot of really cool support. So we're intentional about that. We do that throughout the year. I know our kids before Christmas, there was a Salvation Army event, but there's a lot of events that we get to be able to participate in.
And they like it? Do they enjoy it?
They do.
That's good.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder they're more than just a basketball player.
That's and it's a good example too. I mean, look at the examples they're setting for the kids we're seeing. It's or visit when kids are, or adults, or just in general. It's just, you learn from everybody. So what advice would you give to parents who have children who are interested in playing basketball? Like, would you suggest, I guess, what kind of recommendations would you make?
I think there's two things. And now I'm like, right, I coach, but now I'm a parent of a youth sport. So, right. So you get the lens of both, right? As a coach, I think my lens is always zoomed out on the group. And as a parent, your lens is always a little zoomed in on your child, no matter what, right? There's just like we're sort of wired like that. I think two things. One, I think find ways to support them having a passion. And when they find something they love, just finding ways to support that and opportunities and resources that can continue that. But it has to be their passion. And then the second piece is it's their journey. I think it's really important as parents that we it's such a thrill for us to be part of it and to love it, but not everything needs an evaluation, right? There doesn't always need to be feedback. There's something about kids are usually really fine, right? Even if maybe they don't play well, or maybe they're not playing the position they want, they're typically fine. As long as they don't feel like there's a constant evaluation on them for every performance. So I think if you can find that sweet spot of being able to really support them and love them, but not ever making them feel like every performance was good or bad, right? It just is, right? It's part of this growth process of getting better, but finding ways to support them with opportunities, I think, is really helpful when they love something, and then letting it be their journey.
I had a, you get caught up in it a little bit, when you play, when your kids start playing the sports that you played and, or doing
Yeah.
activities, it's a lot different now, but, once my son this is when he was playing baseball and and not everything's a teachable moment, not, you can't stop and like, they'll learn it and plus gauge it to their age, but
Yeah.
that's why I never will coach because I can't like take it down to U8, it's just,
Uh-huh.
but whatever. Anyways, he kind of put me in check and he was like, Mom, I love it. I know you love it, but you already did it. I
Yeah.
wasn't like, and I wasn't this wild mom I would just always ask him questions and I think it was a little too intense. And I'm glad he put me in check because it kind of changed my whole
Yeah.
perspective on it. I think that your response about, supporting them, that just, you should say that a lot louder, you know, tell the world, so, but yeah,
Yeah. And it's their journey.
for sure.
And it's like, you know, it's this for every kid. Good days, bad days. And I think they do a little better when they don't feel like everything has an evaluation on it.
Well, and have fun. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
like,
The kids game.
well, they have these, I've noticed more and more. I don't think maybe when, like with your first kid, it's all a science project to me. I joke around that, that we made it till tomorrow.
Guess and check, guess and
You know,
check.
it's like, I mean, like you look back on day one, you're like, oh my goodness, how did we make it here today? But,
Yeah.
um, at the same time, like this whole declaring a sport when they're so young, and you used to be able to play everything when you're super little. You want to do soccer? Do soccer. And to play basketball? Sure. Now, I mean, it just seems like there's so many communities that are hyper focused on these 9, 10, 11-year-olds playing year-round sports. By the time it counts, they're just done.
I know they're
I'm
burnt
sure you
out.
run into that too. So,
Yeah.
you know, so we had that situation here last year. There was, I will not share this part on video, no, it's video, but, um, they couldn't field a softball team. I mean, and then they have like 23, 8, 9-year-olds. I'm like, where did they all go?
Where'd they all
It's
go?
just, it's like you can't even get a JV, and you can't even get a varsity team. So I don't know. I think there's just, it's balance. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, both Julie and I have daughters. I already mentioned mine. Julie's just a couple years older than mine, and they have been Caitlin Clark crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have been to a lot of Michigan State women's games over the years, and they love it. But, what do you think about the momentum in women's athletics right now, particularly basketball?
It's amazing. And I think it's deserved. And there's been a great product, in my opinion, for a long time. And I think finally a lot of elements came together. A generational player in Caitlin Clark, a lot more national televised games, right? A really engaging tournament. The games I thought across the board were just outstanding. So I think all those factors kind of happened at the same time and boom, right? It's getting the visibility it deserves. And Caitlin Clark is a huge, huge catalyst behind it. But I also think she was a catalyst for people to realize the product overall is worthwhile, right? It's worth paying attention to.
And it's
So
always been there, it's all,
yes,
it's like, yeah, now you're just getting the recognition and the attention that you deserve.
yes.
So
Those it's like enough factors came together at the right time.
where do you see it, like, if you had a crystal ball, a few years down the road, maybe when our daughters are in
Yeah.
college? I mean,
I think it'll sustain. I mean, the product's good. There's the level has continued to improve. I mean, I think from when I played to now, there's so many more opportunities. There's kids are just better. They have more opportunities younger. I think girls in general have more opportunities younger, more play. And then as they get better, there's high level teams to be part of. There's good exposure across the country. There's resources to match it now. I mean, think of how far we've come from Title IX. When I was an assistant at Ashland, my head coach, she was at that time the first scholarship player in Indiana. She was playing high school basketball when nobody was paying attention. So it's come a long way. Is there more to go? Sure, but man, I think it's been a really good we've kind of had one of those explosive, where the eyes are watching, and I think the product's going to continue to be compelling.
I'm super excited about it personally. I get, I think it's great. It's all great, like you said. Okay, MSU Sports Camp registration is underway.
Yep.
Is there anything you'd like to share about the MSU girls basketball camp?
Yeah, we have our camps June 17th through the 19th. It was a lot of fun. We got here as a new staff last year, head camp. A lot of kids, a lot of local kids. Our team is the counselors. We also have other people come in to help be camp counselors, but I think it's a great experience. My daughter's going to join this year. Yeah, it's worthwhile. It's a full day. It's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. You get to experience the Michigan State campus. You get to play a lot of basketball, and you get to spend a lot of time with the team.
That's fun.
Yeah.